Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to continue, and this is the class that I'm teaching, web application development. And for this class, I've made some videos already. I'm going to add an additional video. And so I have a playlist here, and I'll be adding a new video today for that, if I like the video. So it's been a while, and I have done a lot of work actually, and I thought I would just give a kind of my progress report to let you all know what I've done, and to also let you know that I don't know what I'm going to do next. So not really sure how I'm going to proceed from this point. But so in the last several videos, I talked about this project Anime. This has to do with using the canvas element to create a canvas-based interface to a website, which would be good for, say, implementing games or gamifying a website, or just being kind of crazy and creative and creating an interface that's very different from what you would normally come across in a browser. So that was what I've been working on. And you'll see here that there's a main branch, and this is where I left off last time. There's not a lot of work there. I've got, this index file, and I talked about this. There's a canvas element right here. And then there's this JavaScript file that matches that. And here I refer to the canvas element, pull out the context, and then I do things to adjust the canvas, right, to keep it centered and keep its aspect ratio, but make it as large as possible. So I'm beginning, and then I have a background. There was a background. Let's see what it looks like. There it is, just a static background. And what I did was, rather than sort of recording my next video, I wasn't really sure what I was going to present on. So I went ahead and just started building something, and I stored it in another branch. So if you look at this other branch, I called it the Canvas app. So that's a term that came to me the other day, that what I'm actually doing here is demonstrating how to create what I'm calling now a Canvas app. And that's where you have an application that just runs inside a canvas element. It's a web application. It doesn't use text fields. All it uses is touch. You use touch, which comes through the mouse or a touch screen. So one of the things that I wanted to achieve was to make something that would basically work on all devices, any device that has a browser. And I've got that right now, and it's working well on most devices except for iPhone and iPad. On those devices, I can't get the app to go into full screen very easily. I can get it to work, but it's a lot of extra work. I don't want to get into the reasons now or the possible solution. I worked on that problem a bit in the past. Maybe make this thing what's called a progressive web app. You use a web manifest file. Use a service worker, and have the user install the app to the desktop, or whatnot. And there's a lot of complexity to deal with that. And so that's iPhone and iPad. Okay, so that app will still run an iPhone and iPad. And I'm thinking about a Safari. It doesn't work in Safari. Maybe with the other browsers it does okay on the iPhone. I didn't test it yet, so that's something I have to look into. So there's a lot of things that I haven't done. So as to say, there's some limitations to what I'm calling Canvas apps. It works really well on Android. It works great under Chrome. Of course, I'm doing my development under Chrome. I'm using the Chrome web browser as like a development tool. And so that's and it's interesting that Chrome has something which is like a built-in development tool. You just open it up like this, and there it is. You can sort of investigate, all the objects, and there's so much functionality that you can examine using just the web development facilities built right into Chrome. It's just amazing. The other browsers have similar functionality, but I've been using Chrome, and I've been pretty happy with that. So, and now just to give a little summary here, we're doing this course. So this is the name of the course. I'm like being one of you. Okay, I'm just being one of you. Go through the assignments. I created the assignments, so I know how to do these. There's 3 of these base assignments, and you need to go through those. And I think those are core assignments. I think they really give you, once you complete those 3 assignments, you've got a good sort of handle on what web app development is, and with an orientation towards, third-party APIs. And then there's this 4th thing, research and development, and this is for you to decide just whatever you want to do. I'm pretty open. I'm going to basically accept anything. And so I'm doing my R&D. I'm interested in this, just sort of open-ended, not completely open-ended, but this research into the use of the canvas to create an app, a web app that's very different in feel from what you normally run inside of a browser. And so there's progress reports here. So I'm in a sense giving you a progress report here, okay? And then there's the grade. Have to have this. And it's pretty easy to get an A in a class, although, it takes a bit of work to get through these 3 assignments, but those are really core, and they're simple. I mean, if you know this material, you can do those in 15 minutes each. If you don't know the material, then you struggle with those and spend a lot of time and look into underlying infrastructure and theories and concepts to grasp what's going on in those 3 problems there. So anyway, but you can propose an alternative to these 3 assignments. Like I said, I'm very open. I don't like to constrain the students. I don't want to be constrained in what I study and how I study. So I don't place the same restriction on my students either. So if you want to completely alter the class and design it your way and omit the 3 core assignments, and let me know, and I'll probably accept it. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to close that out. So here's this, we've got these 2 branches. So in Git, you've got repositories that are organized into branches. So this is where we left off last time. And then I've got this Canvas app branch, and there's a lot of new stuff in there. You can see these are some JavaScript files here. And then I've got a test level. So I'm thinking of this as kind of a game, and I have levels. Okay, so this is my first level. And then, of course, at the top level, there's an entry point here. So that's this here. So I'll show how this runs. So this is my local repository here, or my local workspace with the repository within it. And I'm using VS Code. I'm finding VS Code is excellent. So that's a Microsoft tool. And here we go. It looks like I have the new, there's the levels there. I have the new branch checked out. So if I go into, I think it's through view. I do this through a hotkey, but I'm just going to try to get it this way so you can see how I do it. Oh, terminal, new terminal window. There we go. See, I normally just pop that open with a hotkey like that. So here, this PWD, this gives me, I have this configured to use git bash. I think I talked about that last time. You do that up here somewhere. I like that better than the command line you get. That's sort of the default command line you get with Windows. So, you've got the git command, git branch. That will show the branches. So there's two branches there, Canvas app and main. So I could check that other branch out. So it's git, checkout, and main. And you'll see this is changed up here. This is where we were at last time. And we've got this run task. This is a task file here. I have a task that runs a web server. And I've completely changed this around. So, well, let me just run it and I'll show this to you. So run terminal, run task, a web server, there we go. And I just link on that. And that's all I have. It's just this static image. That's all I got running. Normally, when you're doing this development in the browser, you want to excuse me, you want to keep this developer tools panel open. And the most important reason to do that is because of this setting right here to disable the cache while DevTools is open. So I'm not disabling the cache normally. I only say disable the cache. So don't use the cache when DevTools is open. So I want to make sure that all my objects, the JavaScript files and all the dependencies of that web page are freshly retrieved and utilized to rendering the page. So this is a very important thing to remember all the time. It's nice to, once you sort of load the page, you can close this if you like. And what is that? Oh yeah, this favicon icon is not found. So now it's fresh, but that's where we were last time. So I'm going to close that out, shut down that web server, and now I'm going to remember we have another branch now. So there's the Canvas app branch. So I'm going to check that out. So git checkout Canvas app. This is the work that I've done in the last couple of weeks, and I have been busy the last couple of weeks on personal things. I haven't been able to put complete attention into this, but I did do a lot of work actually. And you'll see I changed, these are the new files. I changed this task.json and I added stuff. I added this in here, this section, to this JSON configuration. See, JSON is used for two things. One, it's used, or for more than two, it's a data storage format and used for sending and receiving data over the internet in text form. It's a text-based, character-based data storage format or data representation format. But it's also used a lot in configuration. So here we've got task.json. It's a configuration file that VS Code is using. And this setting right here is, I'm going to make this, this is the default task. And the name of the task is web server. It's nice because the default task has this nice little built-in hotkey, Control-Shift-B. And I run this thing so often that this is very convenient. I open up VS Code to do a little work, just Control-Shift-B, bam, I get the web server running. And I changed the command here. This is the recommended way to start. I installed this. This is a HTTP server. Is a it's a Node.js module that's retrievable over NPM, the Node Package Manager system. It's very convenient. It's like the other, like Python and the other frameworks where you've got packages that you can retrieve and install from the command line. It's very convenient. And so here I installed this package. Is a global package, and so the recommended way to launch this, the binary what do you call it, the binary version of this program is to use npx, and public, that's the name of the folder that I want to serve the the web content from. So there's the folder right there. So to run it, I'm just going to use that hotkey there. I just hit that Control-Shift-B, and so the web server is now running. npx HTTP server, Control-Shift, and there we go. This is, you remember, I don't want the cached version of that, so I've got to open up the DevTools, and I'll just shrink this a bit so you can see more of it. And then I'm going to refresh to make sure I got it. See, now that's what I was seeing there before I hit refresh was the cached web page, which came from the main branch. So I had to open Web Tools and then reload to get the fresh version from the Canvas apps branch. And look here, see, you can see there's the canvas is still adjusting. You see it's getting a letterboxing here on the right and the left. And when I shrink it this way, I get the letterbox on the top and the bottom. And so just that code we looked at last time keeps things centered up. And I'll just put it just like that. And so this is the term I came up with, Canvas apps. So I'm investigating Canvas apps. All right, so here's an example. There's a little hi right there. You just click that, and there it goes. Now you can see I have the mouse cursor here. And one thing I'm definitely going to do is replace that cursor with kind of a goofy hand-drawn cursor. But this is just a system default cursor right now. Now this Canvas app is oriented towards touch, right? So I have a touch screen, so I'm going to touch the screen right now, and somewhere, and the mouse goes away. So I have a code that does that. So if there's a touch interaction, I take the cursor out. I hide the cursor. Now if I move the mouse, the cursor comes back. I touch the screen again, the cursor goes away. So, and there it is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to touch. I'll just show you how it works. This is touch. So this would be like on your phone. Or I have a laptop with a touch screen. So that's a simple animation right now. Now on the other side here, I've got just an image. I just took a snapshot of my desktop and cut out the image, and I dropped it in here, and I use it like as a link. So when I click that, it's just going to boom. It's going to go to the next web page. You see, there's the URL right there. This is the root, and when I click this thing here, and then I'll show it with the mouse. It's going to go. It's going to transition to the other web page. So I click it, and there it is. Here's the other web page. So under levels, this is the test 1 level. So, you know, I'm just going to have a test 2 level and so on. But I'll just have 1 level right now. So I start at the top, the root, and then I'm going to branch down into these levels. All right. A level, I just use the word level because it's like level designer. I could have said map. This is a game development terminology. So the term level is the same thing as a map or scene or room. You know, in Game Maker they call it a room, and different contexts they call it a scene. I've been looking at what's it called? The sprite something from the Xcode. What do they call it? Sprite Kit, to do 2D sprite-based applications or games, and they call this organizational element, they call it a scene, right? Unity, they call it what do they call it in Unity? I think they might call it a scene. I can't remember. And then Unreal, they call it a level. I can't remember. They used to call it a level, and some people say map and so on. So anyway, now here is where you go full screen. So if I click on full screen, now I'm full screen. I'm going to just take this out so we really see it full screen. And this is what I got running well on Android. It's simple to get it to work on Android, and it also runs at Safari. on a MacBook. And so that's okay. So on the laptops, I can go full screen. But on an iPhone and an iPad, like I said, Apple doesn't like you to go full screen easily. You can still do it, but it takes a lot more work. And, people speculate. You come across a speculation and say, well, Apple, they don't want people. If it was easy to go full screen, then, people wouldn't need the App Store anymore to sell their games. They could just cut out Apple and just deliver the games over the web. And that's just a speculation, but it certainly makes sense to me. I can't think of any other reason why they don't support it like everybody else. So, so I kind of accept that explanation as probable. And so anyway, here we have the app, and I've got this idle animation going there. It's just 3 frames. And if I click on here, it's gonna open up this, I don't know what you call it, something. And if I click out here, it goes away. If I click here, now if I want to select it, I click on it again, and then it moves there, see? So I go here, and I go to there. And I go here, and I go, I changed my mind, I clear it. I go here, I want to do it, and I got to go, I loop all the way around, see? And this brings us back to the root application. So, but I can't get there. If I'm clicking the door now, nothing happens. I have to go here first. I wanted to show this to you. If I click here and I change my mind and say, I don't want to go there, I want to go here. So it's sort of like, got that working like that. And so to get to the door, I have to go here. It's just sort of a game thing. And then I click on door. Now it says exit, right? So I got a little animation for that. And now we're back into root, so you can see it up there. So that's my demonstration. And that's what I've been building. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And, if I had recorded what I did, it would be so many hours that that's not realistic to have everybody sit through that. So I thought I would just give a summary at this point and decide what I'm going to do next. I'm not sure yet. So let's take a look here. I've got the code in here. This is public. This is where, this is Fire Alpaca, by the way, down here. I'm using this free drawing tool to do stuff. All right, so that is what I was using to generate these images. I'll show you. Here's a folder of images. So this is my, these are the images that for the root app. See the high right there? And then that's high getting bigger. These are the frames of animation. And you'll see this image is inside a background. They're all the same image size, but they have a transparent background. And so I'm assuming that the browser is not going to store all of this stuff, these transparent black pixels. I think they're black. Anyway, the alpha channel set to 0, whatever color they are. I think they're all zeros. And I think the browser does some optimization and just stores the rectangle. Maybe it's smaller than a rectangle. I don't know. I think it's just this rectangle, and it cuts out. It's not going to have a representation of each 0 pixel in graphics memory. So, this stuff is all loaded into graphics memory, and that's where it runs. So, I'll get into that other stuff later, because you could bring everything together into a sprite sheet, and you can manually. This is what I did last semester. Actually, I showed how I did an app where I had these frames of animation, and I would generate the sprite sheet. So I'd combine them all together and cut out all this blank area here to pack everything together into a single file. But I don't think it's necessary. And I thought, why do the extra work if I don't get any any benefit out of it when it, you know, when I actually launch the app and go live with it, and people don't notice the difference and everything works okay. I mean, why bother? So I cut that out, and there's the last frame of animation, and that's that little image that I screenshotted, and then I put it here just as a as a button. All right, so that's the top level, and inside my test 1 level, I have an images folder, and that's the background, that's the door, and this is the exit animation. This is the kind of like the what would you call that? Like the entry point, the splash screen. That's it, where you do the initial selection, and I want to explain that because that's important. And why bother to do that? Why bother to let it do this to the user? See, you can't just, when a user navigates to a web page, the browser, for security reasons, will not go into full screen. So the earliest you can go into full screen is when the user interacts with the application. So that's why I have to click, and then I can go into full screen. And of course it says, yeah, you know, to leave a full screen, I press escape, but pressing escape halts the recording of the video. So how do I get out of here? I'll use Alt-Tab. That's what I'm going to do. I'll use Alt-Tab to get out of there. There we go. And how do I get out of there now? So I might have to press escape to get out of there. I'll have to start the video after doing this. All right, so it's kind of inconvenient, but that's how that works. So I'm using this free tool here. I forgot what it's called. It's anyway. So in order to go full screen, you can only do it. There's a full screen API, and let me show that to you. So let's do the web API full screen. There's a full screen. They call it an API, and this is where this Mozilla Development Network (MDN) is very good. It's you know, Firefox, I guess. And anyway, this is excellent documentation. So this is called the Full Screen API. They have a guide here. I read this the other day. It's good, and these are the methods. They've got exit full screen, request full screen. I'm calling this. You call it on an element. I'm calling request full screen on the canvas element, and that's how I get that to work. And but you can't call it when you load the web page. You can't call it on the load event. The earliest you can call it is when the user interacts with the application, like through a touch event or a mouse click. So actually, you used to be able to call it on touch down, and that's why I was initially trying to use it with touch down. But it turns out that there's some security thing there, and so you have to wait to touch end. So I had to change my code to go into full screen, or to respond to touch events when touch end occurred. So I changed the way I listen for touch events in order to make that work right. And let me show you where is that I do that. So here's the touch end here. That's my function. So I prevent default, stop immediate propagation. I'd set the cursor to none, the cursor style to none. That's so because we've got two modes, a touch mode or mouse mode. So we've got, as soon as there's a touch event, we got to go into touch mode. So I got to turn the cursor off, and then I call this touch function. Well, mouse down, I call it touch function. See, and this touch end, this is my handler for the touch end event. So it's registered down here. So on the canvas element, I'm listening to touch end events. So, you know, when you touch start, I saw touchdown, it's called touch start. So, you know, when you touch start, you could scroll and then you pull your finger off. So that's a touch end. So there's a whole bunch of touch events that you can respond to. Now, I'm not responding to scrolling. I shut it off. You know, I do something down here, this touch move. That would be a scrolling thing. But I prevent the default. I don't allow any scrolling because I just have a canvas. It fills up the viewport, and there's no reason to scroll anywhere. So we just stop that. And that has benefits also, which I forgot, and I'm not prepared to talk about it, although I had a link in here, and maybe they talk about it in here, the Stack Overflow link. So it gets messy, but I don't remember the details of how I got here. I think I was trying to get the system to work on the iPhone, the full screen, and anyway, that's I think I got there that way. But anyway, I do need to work in Chrome. You have to call the full screen, to turn on full screen at touch end, not in touch start. That won't work. And I don't want to get into this, but this is used for handling the scrolling stuff. I'll maybe talk about it later, but this is a trick. You'll come across this. I think they talk about it in this link up here. And where exactly do I go into this full screen? I have a function for it here. So in the window object, that's the global namespace. If you attach a property to the window object, it's the same as putting that identifier into the global namespace. That's why I prefix all my globally scoped identifiers with G underscore. I do that with all my globally scoped identifiers except for log. I made that an exception. I'm just going to have my own log function there. But all the other globally scoped identifiers in this app are prefixed with G underscore. So that way I could, it's sort of like a pseudo namespace, although it's all in the global scope. And so this G full screen function that has global scope, I test to see if the full screen is enabled, and if it is, then I request full screen. Now, what I used to do, I used to take the canvas and request full screen on that. That's the way it's meant to work. This is the way the API is defined, okay? That's how it should be. This is the should way to do it. But it turns out that it's a relatively new API, and the different browsers have different supports for it. They give the function, most of the functionality is there in all these browsers except Safari. And they, what was I going to say? But they use different names, like they're prefixed with, you know, I don't know, whatever, Mozilla and so on. And so that's, I'm using a library. It's my first time at the beginning of the course, I bragged about not using any third-party libraries, and I went ahead and used a third-party library that would unify the, I don't know why that's not working, but here we go. Something wrong with my keyboard here. My keyboard is not working. Holy cow. So I'm going to have to fix that. Maybe it's just, let's see if it's working in here. BBB, yeah. So it was just VS Code. I don't know what was going on there. So let me go here and open up VS Code there again. I don't know what happened, but my keyboard stopped working on VS Code. Here, this is a trick as opposed to help things work on iPhone or whatnot. That didn't do anything. So I'm still going to think about that before I delete that. So I'll leave that in there. But so this library is called F-Screen, and this is globally scoped. Here, well, not global. I'm sorry, it's not globally scoped. I import that that object from this file, fscreen.js, and I call it fscreen, and then it has all the functionality. So to call request full screen, I pass the element into this request full screen method from that third-party library. The library is tiny. If it was a giant library, I wouldn't have used it. Really, I would have hand-coded everything myself because I don't like using libraries that much. But here's the F-Screen library. It's just one file. And these are the different objects and functions that are needed to provide the full screen API functionality. And these are the funny names, you know, like WebKit full screen enabled, WebKit full screen element, minus WebKit minus. These are the browser specific names. And these are the generic names that that we would use to call into this library. And Mozilla, right, and Microsoft, I guess, for Edge. And so anyway, that's it. This is that's it. That's all there is to it. Look, there's let's go to that, show you where I got that. It's just a nice little open source project on GitHub, and it was nice that this person would do this for us, and there it is. So that's nice. That's where I got it from, and they talk about how to use it in here, and that's that. So that's what I'm relying on. So there's my third-party library reliance dependency right there. I dropped it in there. All right, what am I going to talk about next? I don't want to go into details on everything. Just showing you this overview of what's going on. I better stay in windowed mode here. So the idea here is to, now this is just one way to do things. You know, there's other ways to do it, but the idea is to make an app that's completely inside of a canvas and make it look weird, right? So it's gamified. It's non-conventional, and you could do a lot. You have a lot of freedom to do it your way, but you have to sort of hand code everything. So I don't know what people want me to do. This is where I'm at right now. I don't have any audio in there right now, but that's the problem I solved last semester. I really hammered on audio pretty completely. I really have a good little audio library kind of created that I'll probably bring that in, merge that in here, so then mouse clicks will have a sound. You can play songs, sound effects, so because you need that's important in a game or a gamified website or a Canvas app. So I'll bring in audio at some point and talk about that. And that's not easy. I'll tell you, audio is tricky, but it seems like it works fairly well. It only fails in one area. Once again, it's Apple that messes things up on the iPhone. I created these web apps that generate ambient music, and I like to just go to the web app, hit play, listen to this ambient music that I'm generating using the Web Audio API. But the iPhone will put the app to sleep if the user's not interacting with the app. So it doesn't, you could go to the App Store and get an app that plays music. It's not going to go to sleep and stop playing the music. It'll just keep playing the music. So you could do that with an app. But when it comes to a web app, they don't let you do that. They're gonna put your app to sleep. So the user has to interact with the app somehow. Now, if it's a game, then maybe the user is touching the screen a lot. So if there's music playing in the background, then it's going to keep playing because the user's interacting with the app. But if you just want to put your headphones on and just listen to it, that's not running. So on the iPhone, I don't know about Android. I didn't test it there. Of course, on the desktop browser, it'll keep playing. Anyway, it got a little off on a tangent there, but that's coming, audio. Let's see what else I could talk about. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. I could get into more details about how this thing was built. Maybe if people give me a little feedback and what they want to know how to do, I can do that. Maybe you're not interested in this. You want to do your own project or your own thing. That's cool. Do that. You got to build your own knowledge. I don't like to do what other people tell me to do. I just like to go on my own, and that's the best way for me to learn. I get to learn what I'm excited about, what I want to do. But if there's anybody who wants to work with me on this, I'm open to that. I like to work with other people. And if you're an artist or a sound designer, a game designer, or you're interested in developing this idea of a Canvas app, a Canvas web app, then let me know. And I'd love to work with people. Maybe if we could get some simple game designed and get the animations created, the sounds, and you could do the coding or I could do the coding. We could do it together, get a GitHub repository set up, and try to get something done, something interesting. So if anybody wants to work with me on it, I'm interested, especially in artists. You see there's a lot of animation to do here, so kind of looking for an artist. I don't really want to do the art. That stuff you saw there, I did. That's just a demonstration. So I know there's other stuff I want to talk about, but I can't think of it right now. So I'm going to just wind it up. So there you go. And until next time, take care. See you later.